Deep in the southern Pacific Ocean lies the fairy tale archipelago of the Gambiers, a pristine and untouched ring of islands visited by only a handful of people every year. 7 weeks ago, we set sail from the sun-kissed tourist destination of Tahiti and took one of the biggest gambles of our life afloat. Against the advice of our fellow sailors, some of whom are even household names, we set our course in pursuit of one of the most remote corners this world has to offer. It's been far from easy, and after a gruelling 1,582 nautical miles, we can't quite believe our eyes. That's us now sailing past the first channel marker. We are now inside the reef. We have made it to the Gambiers! We are here! Well, this is a very sedate way to arrive.
It is, isn't it? We're doing it very authentically. We're sailing in through the pass.
Yeah.
As if we were a tall ship with square masts.
Pirate ship.
Rigs. Pirate ship. Well, we are kind of a pirate ship.
What crimes have you committed at sea? I don't know what I was expecting, but the tree line of this island just seems crazy to me. We are so used to only seeing uninhabited desert islands with a few palm trees around, and this is just like dense forest. I don't know how well you can see it on the camera, but it is just, yeah, it's a really big forest. There's like fir trees and pine trees, I think they're the same thing. It looks so different from what we're used to. I cannot wait to actually get on shore and go exploring and see what this place is like. It just looks so magical. So if you watched our journey to get here and you want to come and be part of this adventure, we want you to come sailing with us. We are going to the BVI for the first week in April with the Odyssey Sailing Festival, and there is space on our boat. We're going to have a beautiful brand new 50-foot catamaran. We're going to be sailing for a week in the BVI with some famous sailors and other sailing YouTube channels, and we want you to come and be part of the fun. You can find all the details at red-seas.com/crew, and we cannot wait to see you there. It's going to be great.
We made it! And it is warm here. I mean, really warm. It's kind of strange because we came further south, so it should be getting a bit cooler. It is the summer, of course, and I think basically a massive storm rolled over last night and the humidity has gone through the roof. I feel like I'm underwater right now. So what we've planned to do is, instead of hanging around here on the boat, we actually want to do something a bit different and head up those mountains. They aren't too high, but we're hoping we'll catch a breeze and get a really cool view of the bay here, because this is kind of the capital. Like, this is the main town in the whole of the Gambier, and it is tiny, absolutely tiny. We'll show you around it at some point when we get to shore. What's really interesting is also, because of that storm, pretty much every boat in the whole of the Gambier came here for shelter. So this is it. In the entirety of the Gambier, there's like less than 20 boats. It's cool because it meant we can start meeting people. We've already met the guys over on these boats here, a couple of people on the boats behind us, or in front of us, I suppose. And everyone's really friendly, everyone's really nice. They come from where we've come from in the north. Some people have come from Patagonia and Chile, and they've come like through Easter Island and cool places like that. So there's loads of cool stories to find out while we're here. It's really nice to kind of share stories with other cruisers and get inspiration of where we might go in the future. You never know. However, today is a very, very special day. What day is it?
It's my birthday! It's my birthday!
Yeah, it is! All right, so for your birthday, we've already had some neighbors come over and drop over, what did they drop over, like salad?
I think it was bok choy, which I don't think I've ever eaten in my life, and some random vegetables that they got here.
And they sang happy birthday in Chinese, which you've never had before as well, which is very cool. So this whole hike is a chance for us to look back at the last year of Briny. And what we've been doing in 12 months, and very specifically the last 2, because it's been particularly wild. Yeah,
I don't think I've quite processed that we've arrived yet, but this is going to do it.
This is going to help. I think getting a bird's eye view of things is going to make a big difference.
Realise where we actually are for once.
It's terrifying, isn't it?
I just love that wherever we go, the sea always seems to be a different color. Like we're so used to the turquoise waters because all we've been around is like little sandy islands and palm trees. And then as soon as you get the mountains, it reflects in the water and you get this like emerald deep teal color. It's amazing. So there are two villages here in Gambier. This is one of them, and the other one is just over the other side of that hill. I don't know how many people live here. Not very many.
17 in this one and 13 in the other.
It's still pretty remote, quite a small part of the world. So there's not like heaps of stuff to do. The main attraction here is hiking, so we're going to try and get up this hill. And everybody that we have spoken to who has done the hike has said, oh my goodness, it's really difficult, it's really steep, it's really slippery. You can't even do it in just trainers. You need to have like proper hiking boots. You can't do it in shorts. You need to wear long trousers, really protect yourselves. It's going to be awful.
But it's too hot for that.
We've compromised because I have put leggings on that don't go all the way to my ankles.
Me too. No, I haven't. I have not put leggings on.
Imagine that. But it's fine because we've got our hiking flip-flops on. So I think we'll be dandy.
I don't think any of those people have off-road flip-flops.
Oh, that's why.
They don't have waterproof flip-flops.
There you go.
They don't know the, what's the word? The truths, the enlightenment that comes with having a pair of Gambiers off-road flip-flops.
Absolutely. So watch this space for us to regret our choices.
That quite literally is Red Sea's channel motto, isn't it? Watch this space for us to regret our choices. That's about right.
At least we're consistent.
All right, so maybe it isn't as quiet as we said. There are definitely quite a lot of people live here. However, I mean, a lot is probably 200, something like that. What is notable is just how green and lush this place is. All the way along this road, which is like the main road through town. It's lined with breadfruit trees, banana trees, mango trees, everything. So obviously a place like this needs to be pretty self-sufficient. It doesn't get a lot of cargo ships in, but it is also delicious to see so much fresh food because the rest of the Tuamotus that have been working our way down for the last few while, there's not a lot of things get grown out on the Tuamotus. It's mostly just coral sandbars that the soil isn't there to grow things. Whereas here, there's like breadfruit trees in people's gardens. And also, wow.
I think this is actually a cathedral, which in the UK, that would have to be like what makes a city is whether it has a cathedral. So maybe we can call Ricotea a city.
The city
of the Gambier.
I can imagine that.
Quite impressive. I think I read that this cathedral, this church, holds 1,000 people. So maybe there were once 1,000 people living here and they all had to fit in for the Christmas service.
I'm gonna gamble that they did the classic, build it bigger than you need and hope that it fills out. I just want to check because this is definitely going to turn into a brownie hike if you think we're going up that cliff.
Yes, we're absolutely doing that.
We're absolutely not making it home today. That's insane.
So I realised my first mistake of the day is that I tried to be really prepared and I looked at a map before we left and I could see where we were going to go and the name of the mountain that we're going to climb. And then I thought, I'll leave my phone on the boat because we don't have signal when we come to shore. So let's see how much of the map I can remember. So I want like a really dramatic hike. So I think we should turn off the main road and go through the smoke machine into the dragon's lair. You up for it?
My name is Ian Cameron. This is my last will and testament.
I also realised that I started talking when the smoke was like really visible. At least it's come back now. When I turned around, it had all gone away and I thought that I might have just looked like an idiot because there was no smoke anywhere to be seen. But hopefully it shows up on camera and you can't really see me. Ooh. Ian's winning the game already. Do you want to explain the game?
I mean, really you should. So, Bernie is from Cornwall and Cornwall people are weird. So you have a game in your family called Horse. So
it's very complicated, lots of rules.
Basically, I think you get a point if you see the horse first and say horse. And you get 2 points if you say horses and you see more than one. Yeah. And you just keep score. So, horse.
Yeah, that's essentially it. We grew up in the countryside, you got to make your own fun. And we used to do like 500-mile road trips to see family, so you've got to keep the kids entertained in the back. Oh, what can you see out the window?
Please, if you're watching this and you're thinking, oh, you know what, I'll maybe teach my kids that game. Don't do that to them. They're better people. They can grow up to be doctors. They could be lawyers.
I was going to say, if you're watching this and you're thinking, well, that sounds a stupid game, that's what everyone says until they play it.
And they know it is.
So it's quite a fun tradition when we're traveling full time to look back at the different places that we've been on my birthday. So since we moved onto the boat, I have had a birthday in the US Virgin Islands, snorkeling with turtles. I've had a birthday arriving, sailing overnight into Martinique, and we saw whales as we arrived. I had a birthday in Panama next to a pirate ship. And then like last year, we were moving into the marina to rip out our old broken engines. So it's like, oh yeah, we've done quite a lot this year.
Actually, weirdly, when you think about the engines, that was a while ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, the engines, like we were heading into the marina, which we don't normally do marinas, as you all know. And it was gonna be just the two of us ripping out 2 old engines and a generator, and then learning on the fly how to install 2 brand new engines and then reinstall something that resembles a generator.
Yes, vaguely. It's always quite fun when we meet people now and we're chatting about how long we've been in French Polynesia and what we've done while we're here. And we mentioned that we installed 2 new engines and they're like, oh, and who did you get to do that for you? And we're like, no, we gave that a go ourselves. And their eyes just widen and their jaw drops and like, oh, and how did that go?
Yeah, they all expect it to be a bad story, which is always entertaining to be like, no, it actually worked.
I know, somehow we did it.
It's great. I mean, we're still in touch with Peter at Nanny, and every so often we check in with him, and he's like, yeah, how are the engines? But push a button, they start. It just works.
It's amazing.
But I honestly didn't see that coming when we went first into the marina.
No, thought that was going to be a long journey. But yeah, they work, and we're moving again, and we're traveling again. We're not stuck in one place anymore.
So we should point out that for the last 12 months or so, we have been in remote islands of little corals and sandbars in the middle of nowhere with an elevation of around 1 foot. So doing a hike like this, having not done any proper mountain hiking since pretty much the start of the year, is exhausting.
Yeah, we are very much out of shape. It's terrible.
The air's just like not there. What's happened? We're only about 100 meters up, but it's getting thin. I think this is dangerous.
Yeah, but look, we're not that far from the top. Remember, it's a small place. The mountain is small too.
The mountain is quite small. It is very vertical though.
Very vertical. Well, the road has just got quite rugged, so I was just glad I hadn't worn my stilettos to do this hike.
Some may say that would be more appropriate than what you're wearing. Bryony, you're not filling me with confidence.
I was just getting really smug because I was like, hey, look, our signpost is going to show that we're going the right way. And I did not recognize any of the places named on the sign because it says the Way of the Sisters, and that's not what we're aiming for. Now I look at the mountain and I realize we're supposed to be on the other side of it. So I think we're just doing the whole thing backwards, which is fine. It'll be all right. It'll be fine.
Or we are heading in completely the wrong direction and we'll find ourselves on a different island in the middle of a snowstorm or something ridiculous, because that wouldn't be that surprising.
It's not that big an island. How lost can we get? Sounds like a challenge.
I mean, we're whispering because, I don't know. Why are we whispering?
Because there's a graveyard and it's like respectful.
This is, and it's probably really reverby because this is the big stone building, but this is the new tomb of the last king of the Gambiers. So there's a building very, very similar to this actually down on the main street there. And we'd read that that was the tomb, but when we got there, it was kind of very derelict and boarded up and things. And then later you found out they'd actually moved it. So this is in memory of the very last king of the entirety of the Gambiers, who lived here, I guess.
What did we discover?
So I did download a map offline before we left so that I can look at it and find out where we are. And fairly sure we are a couple of miles from where we're supposed to be on the wrong side of the mountain.
Well, I know that. There's the mountain. I want to be up there.
It's supposed to be on the other side of it right now. So I'll probably put this map up on screen somewhere, but basically we are like here, and we should be here. And then we can take that route all the way up to the top of the 2 peaks that are on here. So we need to go right back where we came from, all the way down that steep hill, all the way back to the big cathedral, through the grounds of the cathedral, and then go up the mountain.
Yes, so it is literally all the way to the bottom again, and I just missed the turn and we took a different one.
And climbed the mountain. Don't forget that part. So now that we're back basically where we started, like right beside the giant church, is this the turn off?
I think we should go this way, yeah.
You do. You think this, do you?
It's gonna be great. Let's do it. Let's go. Have fun. Woo!
My name's Ian Cameron. This is my last one testament.
I think my favorite thing about Bryony hikes is that you all watch these episodes when we get completely lost and it all goes wrong. And everybody clearly thinks that's entirely fictional. There cannot possibly be somebody whose sense of direction is that poor that would just make the same mistakes over and over again. And my perspective of myself is so completely different to that. I think that I have a really good sense of direction, and I don't think I'm as terrible as I am portrayed. But we do the filming and the editing, so I have to start to realise that maybe it's actually got a little small grain of truth in it.
And you have the opportunity to make yourself look good.
And that's the best I can manage.
All right, so now that we might be on the right track, we should get back to explaining our year. Following the engines, we had freedom, which, believe it or not, for us is a really big deal. We'd spent almost a year on one engine, kind of limping our way through the Tuamotus, Marquesas, and ultimately Tahiti as well. And we really just wanted to be able to explore and share all of these incredible places with you. So, engines working, we set off on our first test sail. Basically, we thought we'd head out to the Tuamotus and we do a lap of what we call the Northwest Tuamotus. And in that, we did some pretty insane things.
Yeah, this year has just been full of basically us running full pelt at every opportunity that French Polynesia has to offer. So we have been swimming with stingrays, we've sailed with dolphins, we've discovered uninhabited atolls and learned how to harvest pearls. And although many of you won't have noticed, because not many people watch this video, even though it was our favourite of the whole year, we went diving unsupported with 700 sharks at night.
You are kidding, right?
I have to admit, going downhill again was not part of the plan.
Going up that was?
I hadn't even seen that. Yay! Oh my goodness, this is ridiculous. Like, any hike where you have to go downhill before you get to the top is stupid in my book, because it means that you've got to go uphill on the way home when you're tired and you just want to roll all the way. But this is so steep and really far.
Maybe we turn off sooner. Maybe we turn
Should
off
we just go off grid and just like go this way through the
No,
bushes?
definitely not. Not you off grid. Terrible idea.
There's a map and everything.
Are we in the right place?
You are here. Yeah. So then we can go and decide which peak we want to do. The big one or the little one. I love it. This is the actual path. Nothing could possibly go wrong. So we're about 20 meters from the road, and I can instantly see why people were saying wear hiking boots. It's so muddy.
It's very slippy. That storm that came through last night has done a number on this path. But it's fine, we have off-road flip-flops, and we shall survive.
Nothing can stop us now.
Except all the mosquitoes.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of bugs.
Just where is the path?
It goes this way, and then I hope it goes through the rocks on the left and not down the ditch on the right. Yeah, there's a wee gap.
Ah, easy. This isn't a normal path. Oh, that is a normal path.
Look at that. On the camera, it looks like absolutely nothing.
It's flatter than this.
So we found this like ancient ruins, like these big stone, I don't know, plateau, which is supposedly the ruins of an old house. And the story goes that a farmer called Uma lived here and traded breadfruit for fish with an explorer that came to visit until he ran out of breadfruit. And then he felt so bad because he'd set up this agreement of trading and he wasn't going to be able to uphold his end of the bargain that he set sail to sea, but he was a farmer, so he died. And it was like, that was more important to him than letting down his friend because he didn't have any breadfruit to give him. So often it's really hard to put into words what it means to travel to places like this, because we travel full time. We are always exploring new places and going to places that a lot of people haven't visited. And so we just get into that rhythm and that routine of every day you just accept that wherever you are, that's where you are. And we kind of think very much in the present tense. But actually to get here, we've been traveling non-stop for 7 weeks. It was quite a long time ago that we left Tahiti with the goal of getting here.
Which is weird because we actually left thinking it would be like a week and a half.
Yeah, we did.
Passaging.
We were like, let's try and go all the way to the Gambier. And if we have to stop anywhere, we will.
So little. We thought we set off with seasickness, which we've never really had.
That was so weird.
Spooky, yeah.
We never get seasick, and it was absolutely terrible for about 3 days.
And yet we did catch a fish, which was a win, because I
I
haven't
think
caught fish in
that's
ages.
probably the cause of it, though.
Maybe.
Because
Yeah,
we were having to
maybe.
concentrate on preparing it whilst sailing along pretty fast.
We were going quite fast.
Yeah, so maybe not surprising that on that same passage, 24 hours later, we ripped our Genoa. So that was the first time that we actually had to stop. We were flying our Genoa at second reef when we didn't need to, just to try and stop the tear from growing any further, and then have to pull over at Little Atoll. And oh, this is really steep.
Yeah, and slippy.
Really slippy. Yeah, so did our first major repair and literally just stopped for 24 hours. Took the sail down, sewed it together, and then set off again.
We should add, of course, that bear in mind where we are in the world, stopping and pulling over is 200 miles. It's not just let's say aim for the nearest island. The nearest island is still 2 days away.
You can tell we're getting to near the top of the mountain now. We just crossed over a river and suddenly we're in a pine forest, and I can see the sky through the trees.
This is crazy.
It's
we have been on nothing but coral and sandbars for 2 years or 18 months.
I've not seen anything like this in years. It's so weird.
It's never a good thing when you arrive at a signpost expecting to see only 2 signs and you don't recognise the names of any of the other ones.
What that means is there are even more opportunities for us to get lost.
Hey! I think, from my memory of the map at the start, if we turn left, we will conquer the biggest mountain on the island.
Which I think we have to do.
I think we have to do. And it isn't that high, relatively speaking, but remember, we've not been at altitude for a while, so it's going to feel like we're going up the Alps. We can do this. We can do this. Come on, charge, onwards.
I lost my shoe. This is when you know it's a Red Sea hike, when it gets so difficult that they actually have to put in support so that you can get up the mountain. I also realised I just leaned all my body weight on this without checking what it was attached to, and I should know from experience. I mean, this one looks like it's too high to really be useful.
This is, I like the fact they've added knots in case you slide back down.
Yeah, they take this seriously.
This is ridiculous.
I mean,
Mind you,
it does look incredibly steep.
it is, okay, can I?
It's quite helpful because you've got all the trees behind you which are just going dead straight, so that's a vertical.
That's vertical.
There you go.
It's only another 300 metres to the top.
Let's run.
Everest, they have all that breathing stuff in, right?
I think that's about 300 metres above sea level, yeah.
I'm sure there's a 3 in the number. Right. So remember a couple of years ago when we did the high ropes course for my birthday?
Yes.
Do you think that's just becoming a tradition that we have to do something like that on any birthday?
Oh, I see. Yeah, that was an official thing we actually paid to go and do. This is just we're going for a random wander in a mountain.
Yeah, I just realised the other end of this is not tied to a very strong tree.
At least if you're watching this, it means that we got to, at some point, turned around and got back to the boat and edited it and released the video. So you know we survive at this point.
Or they found the camera somewhere in this mountain. The last known words of 2 fools living their life regretfully, or whatever it was you said at the bottom. Love is in the air, right? Well, unless you're like me and you're now panicking because you didn't realise that Valentine's Day is coming up this week. We've partnered up with our friends at Cruising Solutions once again, and we're putting forward a prize of a pair of Marriage Saver headsets. Those are the boom mics with the earpieces you might have seen us wearing when we're undocking with Bryony, doing it for the first time just the other week. Taking up a mooring ball, when you lock your wife in the engine bay, or when she takes you up the top of the mast and then walks off inside and leaves you dangling there. They're really good, and we use them way more than we ever thought we would. And so that's why we're really excited to give away a pair of these to one lucky winner, or 2, I suppose, a couple, by simply heading over to our Patreon. Sign up at $10 or more, and you're in with your chance of saving a marriage, or making a friend, or whispering sweet nothings into each other's ears. Either way, it is the sort of thing that helps you guys get out there and do these adventures, and actually it's the sort of thing that's going to help us keep doing adventures like this.
Well, this hike is so easy and tame and mundane. I'm glad we did that extra hike this morning just to give us a little bit more to talk about today. This would have been, sliding. This would have been really boring if we only did this one and followed the path and stayed on the trail. That's not what you're here for. Okay, so back to our passage. We set off having repaired our sail and had probably what was the hardest section of our journey. We had about 400 miles of just sailing into wind, heavy swell, strong currents, tacking our way between all of the atolls in the Tuamotus. So it was sort of vaguely familiar territory, but we really didn't want to stop anywhere because we were just trying to get to the Gambiers. And as hard as that was, it was only about to get harder because this happened.
For the last wee while, you may have heard us whinging about our autopilot not working.
Yes, it's not a good sign when it's in 100 pieces on the table, is it?
Our autopilot isn't working. So following that episode, we had quite a lot of comments. Some of them were really encouraging and saying, wow, who knew superglue would work on those magnets, which actually were ceramic, not neodymium, but doesn't really matter. We got it running. Other people had some more interesting points of view and saying we were kind of babies, we were not real sailors, which, we kind of aren't, we kind of are. We try our best. All saying if you don't have an autopilot, it's not a problem. And they're right, we wouldn't die, but for the kind of sailing that Brownie and I are doing, it's, days, actually it's weeks that we spend at sea. So it's usually long shifts. We try and do 8-hour shifts each to allow the other person to sleep properly. However, when you're hand steering, trying to retain focus and concentration and keep the boat and your crew safe for all that time it's incredibly difficult. It's not impossible, but it is incredibly difficult. And all these solo sailors you hear about going around the world have some form of autopilot. It might be a mechanical one, it might be a hydroplane, something like that. All we have to rely on is our motorized autopilot. And we don't use it all the time, but we do use it a lot. So once it bust, we basically were faced up to the idea of, well, maybe this is the gamble. Maybe it's all over. We've lost everything. Turn around, head back to society, find the parts, spend all our money and try and get ourselves up and running again. But that's why we persevere. That's why we look for what we have on board, whether it be epoxy, bandages, superglue, fiberglass, whatever we can find to keep this thing going. And to be honest, we're pretty amazed that it is running now. We're going to have to do more work on it. Absolutely. We'll probably have to replace it. We're going to have to save up for that. But we got here.
This is perfect. I was getting really hungry, but I don't want to eat anything until we get up to the top because then I'll just feel really ill when we're still trying to climb the mountain. But we've just found some wild raspberries, so they'll feel like a little space in my belly.
I mean, we also haven't had raspberries in years.
Yeah, probably 5 years.
Five years, gee. Okay, so we're going to take a lot of these back and make the world's first Indioko raspberry smoothie.
Yay!
I hope, if we can get them back without them just turning into raspberry juice by the time we get down.
Are they ripe? Have you eaten one? Oh no, he's dead! So after our autopilot repair, we got to probably the most stressful part of our journey to get here. She said as she nearly fell down the mountain. Yeah, when our fuel tank leaked and we lost all of our diesel. It was mostly just because it was unexpected. Like seasickness, you deal with it. Torn sails, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Autopilot, we knew when we set off that we were having issues. So to have a bigger problem with it was not that much of a surprise. But we had not banked on our fuel tanks just wearing through and having a hole and then having to repair that in the middle of nowhere. So yeah, in the middle of the night, we had to completely change our plan, turn around, race to a different atoll that we hadn't intended on going to. And phew, that certainly was not part of the picture when we set off.
This might be one of the more punishing hikes we've done. Not because it's super, super high, but it is super, super steep. So
it's crazy.
Between that, the heat and the humidity, it's been pretty tough.
So with all of the struggles and the challenges that we had to overcome, we cannot help but say it was worth it. Because when we get here, oh my goodness, look at this. I I just cannot get over these views. When we've been in the Tuamotus and so low lying, from the drone, we've seen like a reef edge of an atoll, and they've all been quite big, so it's like you never get the whole atoll in one. And here, it's like we are getting the bird's eye view down of all of the little islands that are here, but we can see the fringing reef behind us.
It's like being on Google Earth, but in real life.
It's
it really
so weird. It's like the whole world in one tiny little space.
Mentally.
And the colors are just incredible. And I've been seeing photos of here for months, and now we're actually standing here looking at it through our own eyes, and I cannot describe how that feels.
We're really struggling to find the language to explain it, because it's just ridiculous. Like Indy's just sat at anchor down there, surrounded by coral reefs, little coral bommies everywhere, and the colors are incredible, and it's just wild. You can see the whole of the Gambier from this point. And we are, when we say we're on a point, it's like a cliff edge right behind us here, like straight down, and the same as you just saw, straight down there to like the sea, pretty much.
Yeah,
so,
we're just trying not to get vertigo, basically.
Yeah, we're on a pin, so looking down freaks you out, but it's overall very, very good, and you can see everything.
I think the Gambier gamble paid off!
Woohoo!
Oh, wait a minute, there is one thing we forgot to tell you. My favorite memory from this entire journey is when we spent Christmas with a remote village in the Tuamotus, and this happened. So we've just been enjoying this show, and suddenly there's a surprise and things have taken a turn. What exactly is going on up back here?
No, I mean, you're invading my space. I'm an unrecognizable face, so I'm going to turn up as Santa. Just, that's what you do.
You get to be the Santa for the entire village.
I think I can handle the role. I think I learnt my lines, given I don't speak French.
Yeah, no French, no Tahitian. It's going to go brilliantly.
I mean, ho, 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 how hard can it be?
I am so excited about this. They basically came over and said, oh, so it's only a small village, so everybody knows each other. The kids would recognize all of the adults who are here, but they don't know you because you've never been here before. So would you be our Father Christmas? I have never seen Ian be Santa before. I think this might have made my year.
Ho, ho! Ho, ho, ho! C'est bon, vas-y! Oh, oh, oh! Oh, oh, oh!
Wah, tapos alito delikado.
Grace! That was fun.
Well played, sir.
I was terrible at it, but it was fun.
No, it was brilliant.
My first performance.
Do you think you'll get asked back next year?
I might. And my appearance fee is quite high because it takes a while to get here. But